It's time for some ballpark reviews. How many ballparks have I been to, and which ones did I like, which ones didn't I like? We'll break it down a little bit starting today on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to episode number 2 for Thursday, December the 9th of Locked On Cardinals. I am Lucas Smith of Locked On Cardinals podcast. Thanks for tuning in today and every day that you tune in. This is the second episode, as I mentioned, that I'm releasing today. The first one came out a little bit earlier this morning, talking about the Hall of Fame, who I would vote for on the ballot, things of that nature. So if you haven't listened to that, listen to this one or watch this one, and then come back for some more Locked On Cardinals content by watching the previous episode. Wherever you're listening or watching from, hope you're having a fine Thursday, or whenever you're watching this, hope you're having a fine day, whatever it is. We're doing a little something different today. We're going to talk about some Major League Baseball ballparks that I've been to. Not going to talk about all of them today, but we're going to talk about the National League Central. We got some pretty good ballparks in the National League Central. And we're doing a little bit of a mini series here, reviewing the Major League Baseball ballparks that I've been to, what I've liked, what I haven't liked. And of course, we're going to start with good old Busch Stadium. But before we do that, I want you to take the next 10 seconds to see if you can guess how many stadiums I've been to. Okay, just think to yourself, how many stadiums is Lucas Smith, 21 years old, how many stadiums do you think I've been to? Got your guess? Got it locked in? The correct answer? 13. All 5 National League Central. That's Busch, Wrigley, PNC, Great American Ballpark, and Miller Park, as well as Minute Maid, Guaranteed Rate, Progressive Field, Target Field, Kauffman Stadium, Rogers Center, Tropicana Field, and Nationals Park. So I've been to the ballparks of the Cardinals, Cubs, Pirates, Reds, Brewers, Astros, White Sox, Indians, or Guardians now, Twins, Royals, Rogers Center, Blue Jays, Rays, and the Washington Nationals. Been to my fair share of stadiums already. My goal is to make it to all 30. How many Major League ballparks have you been to? Let me know in the comment section. Reply to a tweet, DM. How many ballparks have you been to, and which one's your favorite? We're going to start with my favorite, and a little bit biased, maybe, but we're going to start with it nonetheless. We're going to start with Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium 3, it's a third installment of Busch Stadium. Originally opened its doors in 2006, its inaugural season, when the Cardinals won the World Series in that year. That was the year the Adam Wainwright curveball. That did not happen at Busch Stadium. However, Busch Stadium has seen its fair share of memories. My first ever Cardinal game was in 2010. The Cardinals played the Milwaukee Brewers. Adam Wainwright started that game. Albert Pujols had a double in that game. Skip Schumacher did as well. However, the Brewers did win that game. I believe Ben Sheets started that game. I've got the scorecards back home in Bloomington. I'm still on campus right now, but to bust those out in a little bit. But I do remember Adam Wainwright getting the start. Ben Sheets for the Brewers, and Adam Wainwright tried to flip a ball with his glove, throwing home instead of picking up and throwing it, and that ended up being the difference maker. But Busch Stadium, to me, there's no bad seat in Busch. Every single time I've sat in the bleachers, I've sat in the nosebleeds, I've sat down low, third base, first base, left field, right field, above home plate, first base line, third base line. I've sat pretty much in any section you can sit in for the most part. And there's no bad seat in Busch. So it's kind of hard for me to really not bad mouth, but even say too many negative things about Busch Stadium, because of how I just think it's a wonderful stadium. And especially with the addition of Ballpark Village right behind it, it's a great area now. Not only is it a good stadium with a good view of the arch in the background, fair stadium, maybe a little bit pitcher friendly, if you will, but a pretty fair stadium. Now you've got the area for the fans to enjoy of Ballpark Village. A little expensive, maybe, but it's a great experience. I enjoy going there every time I go to a Cardinals game, and even I've gone there multiple times, not for a Cardinal game, just to go to Ballpark Village to have a meal, to have a night out with people. So it's a great spot. I think that the Ballpark Village has been a very good addition to the village of the ballpark, if you will. It's no Wrigleyville, I'll say that, but Ballpark Village is very, very nice. And I just think Busch Stadium, for the longest time, I held the opinion of Busch Stadium at night being the best ballpark in all of baseball, and I still think that it's up there. It's a beautiful stadium to me. I love the brick on the outside, and again, once you get inside, you've got the arch in the background. Pretty easy to maneuver around. I love Busch Stadium. I never went to the old Busch Stadium 2 with the not the dome, but you got the AstroTurf and you got the archers around it, if you will. So I will say that I will admit that I never was able to experience that. However, Busch Stadium 3, current Busch Stadium, has been pretty fantastic to me. It's my favorite stadium. Am I biased? Maybe you can call me biased if you like, but I love Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium to me is the best stadium around, and I think we're pretty blessed, to be honest with you, in National League Central, because there's really not a terrible ballpark in the National League Central. There are some better than others for sure, but I think that the National League Central is full of great ballparks, and you can't talk about the National League Central ballparks without talking about Wrigley Field. And yes, I know the Cubs play there and things of that nature, but Wrigley Field, oldest ballpark in the National League, second oldest in all of Major League Baseball. It's hard to ignore the history behind Wrigley Field. And yes, the Cubs lost for 108 years, didn't win a World Series for 108 years. I understand that, but just the history behind the field in general is too hard to ignore, in my opinion. It is breathtaking. I'm a big history guy. I like history. I like statistical history. I like U.S. history. I like looking at history, and I like looking at the past. And I think that Wrigley Field provides a lot of things to look at. Looking at the past, looking at the evolution of the bleachers, the evolution of the ivy, the evolution of the rooftops, and again, Wrigleyville itself is a really, really neat area. You got all the bars downtown. Not downtown. You got all the bars there. You've got the multiple Cubs shops. There's a hotel there now. Wrigleyville in itself has expanded a lot as well. And there was a long time, that I had been to more Cubs games than I had been to Cardinal games because of family living near Chicago, taking me to Cubs games along with my twin brother, who is a Cub fan, by the way. So I've been to Wrigley Field many, many times. I witnessed Cole Hamels no-hitter there in 2015. Saw John Lester strike out 14 Rockies in 2017. Seen my fair share of baseball there. I was even there for the Cardinals' 17th consecutive win. 13th consecutive win to tie the record. Might have been 14. I forget which one. It skipped me at the moment, but I was there. It was a pop-out to Nolan Arenado, second game of a doubleheader. Went there with my brother and our girlfriends as well. So I've seen some history there. History has happened there, and I've seen it. I was also there when Wilson Contreras hit 3 home runs, as well as Paul Goldschmidt hit 3 home runs one day for Arizona. Plenty of history. I think Wrigley Field, even just for its history, provides a lot of nostalgia. And I think for most baseball fans who enjoy that part of the game would enjoy Wrigley Field. Maybe you hate Wrigley Field because the Cubs play there, maybe. But I enjoy Wrigley Field because of the history that is there. So for me, Wrigley Field is a very positive field. So those are the two rivals in the National League Central, right? Cubs and Cardinals. Personally, this is 100% bias, and I acknowledge that. Growing up a Cardinal fan, I would go to Busch Stadium more than I would Wrigley Field. There's not a bad seat in Busch. You could get stuck behind a pole if you're sitting at Wrigley Field, but nevertheless, both great stadiums that have a lot of history to them. Cubs maybe a little bit more, but we'll take our first break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the rest in the National League Central. And again, I've been to all these parks, so it's not just me reading up on them. I've been to all these, so I'll share some memories from Busch Stadium as well as the other stadiums that I've been to coming up in just a moment. But first, we all want to win some money, and I have a way for you to do that, and it is called BetOnline. They have you covered all season for props, odds, and lines. They have more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Football season is ramping up for the playoffs and the NFL and at the collegiate level. BetOnline has you covered there 100%. BetOnline is your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head over to the new updated desktop or mobile website today to sign up and receive a 50% welcome bonus with the promo code LOCKEDON. LOCKEDON. Locked On. Get you a 50% welcome bonus Whether it's basketball, football, boxing, UFC, or your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the incredible offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline is where the game starts. I recently received some Stance items and how colorful and comfortable everything at Stance is. This apparel is very well made, super soft, and entirely unique. It's a lot of fun to wear, and when I'm looking forward to purchasing some more for my friends as well, maybe some Christmas gifts. Stance gives me a sense of confidence simply by feeling good. Founded in 2009, Stance Apparel represents a radical invention of socks, underwear, and active apparel with a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity. Stance brings an atypical aesthetic alongside some of pop culture's hottest collaborations for the ultimate in style and self-expression, because everything you wear should be a direct extension of how you feel. They have some collaborations that you might enjoy, like Batman, The Goonies, Star Wars, The Office, Harry Potter, Disney, and more. Stance believes that the perfect fit matters more than fitting in, that those who feel good do good. So go see for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Register for an account at stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase with the promo code locked on at checkout. LOCKEDON, locked on at checkout to apply. Enjoy the color and comfort of a life less ordinary with Stance. Some of my favorite memories at Busch Stadium. I mentioned the first game already. I saw Colton Wong hit a walk-off against the Pittsburgh Pirates the day after Matt Adams did, so it was back-to-back. I was sitting down the first baseline for that. I remember I went there one time with my cousin when they played the Rockies, and my cousin got a baseball from Ian Desmond. That was super nice. I got Michael Wacha's autograph on a baseball back home as well at Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium holds a very near and dear place to my heart. I also got to see Albert Pujols return his first game back. Did not hit a home run in that game. Did hit a home run the day after on the Saturday game against Dakota Hudson. But I got to see Albert Pujols' triumphant return to Busch Stadium. It's been every time I go, I feel like I make another memory. It's a very special place. I love going there. I always joke around with friends and family that if I could go anywhere in the world, it would be Busch Stadium. I just love watching baseball. At this point, especially, I love watching Cardinal baseball, and I love Busch Stadium. So why would I go anywhere else? So if you've been to Busch Stadium, what are some of your favorite memories? Let me know in the comment section on YouTube, or reply to a tweet at LO_Cardinals, comment on an Instagram post, DM at LO_Cardinals, or DM at LJ Fastball. What are some of your favorite memories at Busch Stadium? But I'm going to move on a little bit to the other National League Central ballparks, starting with the Cincinnati Reds Great American Ballpark, that shoebox of a ballpark. I went there with grandparents one year along with my brother, so I've only been there once. It was enjoyable. I think the Great American Ballpark is, I mentioned shoebox not as an insult, but simply that it is very small. It's a very hitter-friendly ballpark. The ball can just absolutely fly out of that place. You saw that in a home run derby as well. But the Cardinals have had their fair share of positive games there. You had the 10-run inning there a number of years ago with Jose Martinez. You've got, I remember there was a Matt Holliday grand slam one night on Sunday Night Baseball. You just got so many positive memories. Opening day, this most recent year with Dylan Carlson hitting a 3-run home run, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado having days as well there. It's a fine ballpark. I don't have too many bad things to say about many ballparks because at the end of the day, they are all Major League Baseball professional stadiums. I think Great American Ballpark is a nice spot. Jeff Carr, Locked On Reds, will tell you to go eat. I forget what the food there is. Fried something, churro something. I forget what it is. I'm not too adventurous when it comes to food, but I did enjoy my experience at Great American Ballpark. I saw the Reds play the Braves, got to see Freddie Freeman play in that game, and I enjoyed it. It was, like I said, a little bit smaller, but they've also got the grass out there in center field beyond the wall, just like Busch Stadium 3 does. I think that's a nice touch for the batter's eye as well. And like I said, you're going to see some absolute bombs out there hit in Cincinnati because it's a smaller park. It just is what it is. It's very difficult to pitch effectively there. You're also going to, when I think of Great American Ballpark, I think of the brawl that happened at Cincinnati between the Cardinals and Reds back in 2010, 10 with Yadier Molina, Brandon Phillips, Scott Rowland getting involved in there as well. Chris Carpenter was also pretty heated in that. For whatever reason, I tend to have a little bit more distaste right now towards the Reds than I do the Cubs. Maybe that's because I grew up with Cub fans in my family, and it's more of a fun rivalry more so than a heated rivalry from my perspective. So a little bit more distaste towards the Reds, as I mentioned, but Great American Ballpark is a fine ballpark. I have no real problems with it. It was a great experience. And then for the Pittsburgh Pirates, I think the Pittsburgh Pirates PNC Park is a gorgeous stadium. Right on the Allegheny River. It's right across from where the Pittsburgh Steelers play football. So that was fun kind of walking around seeing that. You've got the staircase over in what is that, left field that it was fun to walk around. It's a smaller ballpark, 38,000 people is what it seats, give or take, at least at the time that I went there. But I got to see the Pirates take on the Brewers. Francisco Liriano threw 7 scoreless innings for the Pirates that day against the Milwaukee Brewers. Got to see a home run. You've got the Clemente Wall that adds a lot of character to that park. I think whenever you have a place in your stadium named after somebody like Roberto Clemente, or even a space like that you can commemorate to, you got a positive thing, and that's a story. It's commemorating one of the game's greatest talents, both on the field, and one of the game's greatest people off the field. So that adds a ton of character to PNC Park. And at their height, in circa 2012, 2015, in that range, PNC Park got loud. You did not want to play there. I remember, in 2013, when the Cardinals played the Pirates in the National League Division Series, Chris Carpenter was talking to Michael Wacha in Game 3. Michael Wacha was starting Game 4 and said, "Hey, you're going to pitch in this tomorrow. Use that energy and use it to pitch well." So, something to that effect. I would say I'm paraphrasing. Michael Wacha went out there and threw 7 innings of no-hit baseball before giving up a solo home run to Pedro Alvarez. But Matt Holliday's home run that day stuck, and the Cardinals went on to win that series. But when PNC Park is rocking and a rolling, and when the Pirates are good, at least at that time, it was not a fun place to play, especially when it was cold. The Pirates have some history. PNC Park is a part of that history. And again, I think that PNC Park is an underrated stadium because of who plays there, just to be frank. The Pirates are not necessarily a large market team. They have not been successful for quite some time now. And I think that is part of the reason why PNC Park doesn't get as much love. And it's unfortunate that is the case, but that is the case. And I think that it should get more love because PNC Park is for my money, a gorgeous stadium, and one that deserves some more love and attention. So that's 4 of the 5 ballparks, and I had good experiences at every single one I went to. So the one remaining is Miller Park, so we'll talk about Miller Park coming up here in just a moment. But I want to hear your thoughts as well. So if you have any thoughts on the other Major League Baseball parks, including Busch Stadium, be sure to leave a comment. But we'll talk about Miller Park and wrap up this portion of the stadium review coming up here in just a moment. Take a quick beat on YouTube and take a pause for some ads here on your favorite podcasting platforms from our wonderful sponsors. So stay tuned for some more baseball talk. Miller Park, I think for me, when the Brewers are good, it's a tough place to play. I acknowledge that. But for me, out of the 5 NL Central ballparks, it's my least favorite. I just remember it being right off the interstate, and I recognize that the Busch Stadium is also, for the most part, right off the interstate. But from my memory of it, and when I went there to 2015, I believe, it was a surprise visit. I woke up one day and the Cardinals were playing the Brewers, and my mom said, "Hey, Thomas and Lucas, twin brother, and I said, hey, what are you doing today?" We said, "Nothing." We didn't have anything planned, and she said, "All right, let's go to Miller Park, watch Cardinals play the Brewers." Checking off another ballpark on our bucket list, because even at that time, my goal was to make every single stadium one day. So that was just checking something off. So surprise visit, super fun. That part was extremely exciting. And there is some certain intrigue to Miller Park, or it's not even Miller Park anymore. I forget what even it's called. I'll look that up here. Don't want to misstate anymore. But American Family Field, American Family Field. At the time that I went, it was called Miller Park. American Family Field now got the retractable roof. You've got the home run slide. You got the great Bobby Uecker calling games there. I love Bob Uecker, great commentator, hilarious storyteller as well. But for me, I don't know. Miller Park just didn't really do much for me. You got the tailgating atmosphere outside that is unique to Miller Park. Kauffman Stadium also has a little bit of that, more so with the Chiefs being right across the way. But yeah, for me, American Family Field, again, just didn't do a whole lot for me. It's just a ballpark to me. I don't think it's too visually appealing from my perspective. So from my perspective, and not that it's just some terrible garbage stadium, but for my perspective, not for my money, but for my opinion, it's the least visually appealing ballpark in the National League Central. Yes, I would put Great American Ballpark above it. And again, maybe that could do just because I like red more than navy blue. But at the same time, I just think Great American Ballpark is visually a better stadium for me than American Family Field. I it just didn't do a whole lot for me. I had a great experience there. The Cardinals beat the Brewers 3-0. Matt Carpenter drove in a couple runs. Jaime Garcia pitched phenomenally that day. I remember sitting right next to a Mets fan, which was weird why he was there. I might never know. I'm not sure. But it was a fun experience being there, and it was a fun experience. Yeah, it was just a fun experience because of the surprise factor of it and everything of that nature. So that's kind of the breakdown of what we're going to start with on this series. Tomorrow's episode will not fully be about this. It'll be a portion of it. So tomorrow's episode will not be entirely about Major League Baseball ballparks. But that's what I've got so far on my breakdown for the ballpark. Started with the National League Central. It's ones that you guys are most likely to be familiar with. It's ones that I'm most familiar with. I've spent most of my time at St. Louis, then Busch, or St. Louis, then Chicago, and again the rest of the National League Central as well, a couple different times at each park. So that's what I've got. Let me know what your thoughts are on the stadium reviews that I mentioned today, and let me know what stadiums you have been to and your thoughts on those stadiums. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. And again, if you haven't listened to the one released earlier this morning, be sure to head back to that episode talking about the Hall of Fame ballot. Particularly my Hall of Fame ballot. And be sure to tune back in tomorrow for some more stadium and baseball talk here on Locked On Cardinals. So until I talk to you guys the next time, be sure to stay safe, stay well, and have a fantastic rest of your day.